Yeah, I think it's something that we need to take a look at. So we'll see where it ends up in the legislative process, but it's something that I'm willing to take a look at and would probably be in favor of. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
One bishop is critical of your refusal to relocate or house
Yeah.
children in Iowa. What's your response?
Yeah, so first of all, this crisis at the border needs to be stopped, and the president is ultimately responsible for it. He created this crisis. He can end the crisis. I understand the difficulty that these children are being placed in. We don't have the capacity to do that right now. I believe that your station or some of the stations was able to talk to Director Garcia, and she laid out exactly why we don't have the infrastructure or the capacity to house those children right now. So, but first and foremost, we need to stop it. And they haven't even been there. They haven't even acknowledged it. As far as I know, I don't think the media has even been allowed in there. As media, and when we talk about transparency, I think that would be something that you would be extremely upset about, the lack of transparency and how they're handling that situation. So I think that's some of the questions that we need to be asking of this administration and how they're actually creating and really putting these children in harm's way.
Governor, on Friday, IDPH said just masks aren't
Right.
anymore. On Monday, the CDC came out and said, no, we still strongly recommend it. Does that change?
Nope, I'm basing it on our criteria here. What is the data that they're basing those decisions on? We have had kids safely and responsibly in school for the entire year. I have had parents, I have children reach out to me and just say, I've been in school, no mask, the kids are smiling, we're excited, I could almost cry to be able to see the students that I go to school with. So it's based on it's based on statistics here in Iowa. It's the right thing to do, and we need to continue to move forward.
We got time for two more questions. Or a conversation or something that happened between you and leadership that finally ended whatever you want to call it, stalemate?
There were a lot of conversations that happened, and that's how this process works. It's called compromise. And so we had a lot of great ideas in both chambers, and what I was able to do was to take a look at some of the priorities in both chambers as well as some of my priorities and put them together and then talk about how we move forward with that compromise bill. And we were able to do that and continue to look for ways that we could even enhance it. I am really excited about that bill. Not only does it put more money in the pockets of hardworking taxpayers, it also phases out the inheritance tax as well as providing sustainable, stable funding for our mental health systems. It's $100 million tax relief to property taxes. It takes mental health funding off of property taxes and moves it to the state. And we did comprehensive mental health reform, and then we passed the first ever children's mental health system that they'd been talking about for 20 years. And we told all of them, let's get the foundation in place. The last piece will be the funding. And we were able to do that with this legislation. I am really excited about it. It's the right thing to do, and it is the final piece to mental health reform that we've been working on since 2017, I think. So. Well, you know how this legislative process works. I mean, you are negotiating right up until the end. It's about bringing people together. It's about walking through the issues. It's about finding compromise. And most importantly, it's about thinking how does this impact Iowans? How can we bring about efficiencies and better serve Iowans and help them keep more of their hard-earned money? It also enhances incentives for childcare and for housing, and it's investing in foundational priorities, and all of that: broadband, housing, daycare, mental health parity. What a huge win! We saw how important that was during the COVID. That's all a part of this package, as well as many other things. So I'm really, really proud of the bill that we were able to get passed, and just that on top of a lot of other things that we were able to do this year. It's a big year for Iowans.
Are you willing to promise now that you will continue sustainable mental health care funding in the future? Because one of the concerns is the state doesn't always keep its promises.
Yeah, well, this is a stable and sustainable funding mechanism. We are always looking at ways that we can enhance and do things better, but by providing performance-based contracts, by holding, everybody to the same metrics so that we can start to compare apples to apples, I think there's ways that we can learn where we can provide some efficiencies, maybe do things better. Maybe we don't have the right core services services. There might be some additional Core Plus services that we need to add into the system. And this really lays the groundwork to just from an equity perspective to have those conversations. It has a built-in price increase, so I think I appreciate the fact that they took that into account, and as well as kind of an incentive fund to really drive innovation and best practices, and so I think that's a good component of it as well. But you know what, we're going to constantly learn. We've seen how it's evolved since we started working on the mental health redesign back in 16, 17, whenever that was. So this has been an ongoing process, and I like the direction that it's heading. I think this is a really significant to take it to the next level.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
Is there anything that you've compromised on that you're going to continue to work on in the future? Anything next session? Any other ideas that you have?
Well, we'll sit down and take a look at kind of what we were able to do, some of the things that we talked about, and then we'll travel the state like I always do and kind of get feedback from Iowans, and then that will kind of help drive my priorities or agenda for next year. So it's too early right now, I think, to sit down and really talk about that, but we'll take a look at what we were able to get done, some of the things we weren't able to get done, think about how we can maybe address that during the interim, and just see if it makes sense to maybe approach it in a different manner or maybe take a different direction.
Are you going to go to state track?
Oh, I don't know yet. I don't have anybody running. So my oldest one that runs is in seventh grade. But that's great news. I am so grateful to Drake, and I tell you, a lot of parents and a lot of grandparents and siblings were wanting to participate and be a part of it, and so it's a good thing. I'm really happy about it.
One more question.
David, I'll follow